catching up to do. I came to the end of this book with great uncertainty as to whether we are going to cope. They make a point. It is not certain we will survive. It is not certain our species will survive. And that's why the work of Gareth Evans, newly elected Chancellor of the ANU and very distinguished graduate of Melbourne University, and Dennis and my old friend in the National Union of Australian University Students so many years ago, how important is his work on nuclear weapons, and how important is the recent effort by President Obama and the Russian President to get an agreement on this. If we don't solve that problem, well, I'm afraid the world and all its beauties will be turned over to the cockroaches. And so that's a very important issue. Do we have time to solve these questions? That's the fundamental issue that is presented in this book. And there are messages of hope in the way they describe it, and messages of doubt and fear in the way they describe our current situation. I know a bit, from having dealt with a lot of UN agencies, the good thing, the noble people, the brainy people, the fine people, but I also know the maddening inefficiency and the maddening indecisiveness, the politics of it, and most importantly, the lack of a democratic input, because it's very hard to make a global institution accountable to little people. There is a global deficit there. Our nation states, at least, we do change governments. Those white cars change. On a Saturday night, once every few decades, or once every decade, we change them. But how do you do that in the global community? So these are the issues that are addressed in a truly amazing book. It's not light reading. You would not think this is going to be a really easy read, is it, Stuart? I mean, it's a very heavy book with a lot of very heavy issues, but it's an important book. There is 6 pages just on the acronyms that are used in the book. There are 12 pages on average, 12 pages to every chapter of endnotes. And they are a wealth of magnificent material. If ever you want to look at, what we're doing about AIDS, what we're doing about transborder data flows, anything of a global character, it's all here in this book. There are 55 pages of a bibliography. I mean, the most amazing collection of material has been digested and synthesized into this book by 2 human brains. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? What our brains can do. 2 human brains have synthesized this and presented it to us. And there are 70 pages in the index. I really applaud the publisher. They're not here tonight because they're over in America, but Edward Elgar really are to be congratulated for preparing and beautifully publishing this book. Do I have a criticism? Yes, I think the authors could have been very upfront early in defining some of their phrases, which are complicated phrases. And some of the words they use in they call our age, the new era, holo-reflexive. Now what does that mean? And is there a place where I can just look at it? I looked it up desperately in the index, holo-reflexive defined, and I didn't find it. And so there are words used which are difficult, and the concepts are difficult, but very broad. The other suggestion I would make for the next edition of this book is that the authors shouldn't be so modest. There should be a note on their wonderful careers, and that they are Australians, and that they have the books they've published in the past, including The Death of Sovereignty 16 years ago, as Stuart mentioned. I mean, I would like to know more about these 2 human brains that have done all this work, that have synthesised this material and presented it to us. So don't be so modest in the next edition, but keep at it, because this is an ongoing story, and it's the story of what began 50,000 and more years ago with our ancestors in Africa and where we are today. I have much pleasure in joining Stuart McIntyre, a great Australian. I'm pleased to be here with him to help launch Worlds in Transition, Evolving Governance Across a Stressed Planet. This is a really important book, and I urge upon you that you buy it, read it, think about it, and then contribute to the political process to address the basic problem which comes out at the end. How does democratic governance in a country like ours and others, responding and lurching from 3-year periods, how do we get our act together to address these very big themes? And then, if we can, how we get the world's act together to respond to the problems that are identified here. Can there be more important issues? I don't think so. Much more important than the issues of the judges in Lusaka or the religious gentlemen in frocks in Utrecht. The book is launched.
One sign of their modesty is they've allocated themselves far less time to